Before reading this fanfiction, I want to have a special shout out to my friend John Smith, who sent me this lovely fanfiction, cringy at that. And before I begin, it is not safe for work, so send the children off to bed before this is played. With that, let us begin. Alice Angel had said as she slowly opened her eyes. My head. She attempted to move her hand to her forehead, only to find that she could not. She looked to see that she was lying on some kind of table with straps holding her arms and legs down, while 2 other straps were above and below her chest. Panic began to rise within Alice. She started struggling. The last time she experienced something like this was when she saw Boris strapped onto a table with his heart gone. She stopped herself when she heard someone enter the room she was in. She shut her eyes, hoping that either whoever it was would go away, or it was just a bad dream. The sudden tap on her forehead was quite the opposite, and she opened her eyes to see Bendy staring back at her, the wide smile ever so present on his face. "Bendy?" she asked. "What's going on? Why am I strapped down?" Bendy only laughed, as if hearing something funny. "Bendy?" Alice asked. Bendy looked at her. "You're so cute," he said to her. "Put simply, I want some fun." Alice blushed at that. The way he said that cannot be good. With a sudden snap of his fingers, Alice blinked to find that her dress was gone, leaving her in her bra and panties, and her legs unstrapped as well as in stirrups. Her blush darkened at that. Definitely not good, she thought to herself. She suddenly let out a squeak as Benny grabbed one of her still-covered breasts and began to slowly massage it. Soft moans escaped from her mouth as Benny continued to massage the breast. After a while, he gave the other breast the same treatment. Alice's moans continued to pour from her mouth as he did so. After a while, Benny stopped massaging altogether, earning him a whine from Alice when he did. Benny chuckled a bit as he went to remove her bra, freeing her breasts in the process as the soft moans bounced a bit. Alice blushed in embarrassment as Benny only stared, his smirk evident. He then started massaging them once more, earning him more moans from the angel. He then started pinching and pulling at her nipples a bit, Alice's moans increasing as he did so. After a while, he stopped once more, Alice whining again. Bendy then smirked as his hand moved toward her panties. Alice's eyes went wide as she realized what he was going to do. "Bendy? She said before he started rubbing her womanhood through her panties. Bendy's smirk went wider at the angel's reaction and continued rubbing. Alice's moans echoed off the walls in the room as she felt pressure build up in her womanhood. Bendy felt the wetness through her panties, and a naughty idea went through his mind. He stopped rubbing and slowly removed Alice's panties, exposing her womanhood to him. Alice's blush darkened some more as she attempted to close her legs, only for Bendy to keep them spread apart with one hand. "No need to hide yourself, my little angel," he said in a more seductive tone. Taking his other hand, he slowly moved it towards her womanhood. Alice whined a bit from the teasing. Once it's reached its destination, Bendy inserted his finger into her. Alice let out a yelp that before Bendy started fingering her. Alice let out several moans as he did so, quietly hoping that no one catches them like this. Bendy stopped fingering her and lowered his head towards her heart-shaped box. He then stuck his tongue into it and started licking her pussy. Alice moaned a bit loudly at the amount of pressure she was receiving. Bendy continued to look at her, and as he did so, he used his finger to rub against her clit. "Oh!" Alice gasped out when she felt that. Bendy chuckled internally as he continued his treatment, building up a pressure in Alice's womanhood as well as tightening the knot in her stomach. Eventually, Alice could not take more of Bendy's torture as she started gasping. "Bendy, I'm going to—" she attempted to say before she suddenly let out a moan as she came. Bendy smirked as he lapped up her juices and removed his finger from her clit. Alice panted from that. Her blush now spread across her face. Bendy's smirk went wider when he saw that and started licking the finger that was covered in a bit of Alice's cum. Alice watched him as he did so, her eyes clouded over with lust. Bendy soon finished licking his finger and looked at Alice, contemplating something. His eyes then brightened up as another naughty thought crossed his mind. He got on top of Alice and kissed her on the lips. Alice melted into the kiss as that happened. Soon, Bendy broke off the kiss and looked at Alice. "You trust me?" he asked, Alice nodding in response. Bendy smiled at that and positioned his hardened member at her entrance. He then slowly inserted himself into her. Alice let out a loud moan when that happened. Bendy waited a bit for her to adjust to his length, but she gave him an affirmative nod. Bendy started thrusting slowly into Alice's heart-shaped box as her moans started up again. In an attempt to take her mind off the pain, Bendy started kissing her on the cheeks, while still thrusting himself into her. Soon her moans of pain from getting penetrated by Bendy became moans of pleasure, prompting him to pick up the pace a bit. Alice's moans increased from being thrusted into as Bendy stopped kissing her and started licking at her breasts. Alice moaned more from all the pleasure she was getting. Bendy went faster once he noticed that he was getting nowhere, stopped his licking of Alice's breasts when he did so. Her moans increased in both speed and volume as she felt that her womanhood started clenching round his shaft. She knew that she would have to release sooner or later. "Bendy, I'm about to come!" "Me too, Alice." "Do it! Pump me full of your seed!" Bendy was more than happy to oblige, and so he started thrusting into her at an almost inhumane speed. Alice's moans became louder as he did so. Soon, Alice let out a loud cry as she came once again, her juices coating Bendy's member as she did so. Bendy continued thrusting into her until he came as well, filling Alice up to the brim. Once he was sure that his cum was inside her, he pulled himself out of her pussy. Alice whimpered a bit from it as Bendy started undoing the straps that were holding her to the table and gently removed her feet from the stirrups. He got on top of her once more, and the two started snuggling against one another after he conjured a blanket over the two. Bendy smiled as he kissed Alice on the forehead. "How was it?" he asked. "Amazing," Alice said as she smiled back. "I love you, Bendy." "I love you too, Alice." With that, they shared one last kiss before they fell asleep on top of the table.